Will Trump be able to continue to run directly his family businesses, his global operation, continue to be the chief executive officer? Will he continue to be able to run Truth Social from the perch of his as the newly elected president of the United States and beyond? Those are the questions that are being asked. And what are the checks and balances around a president who wants to continue or will continue to run his businesses, including those globally and with foreign entities? Let me break it down for you here. You're on the Legal AF YouTube channel. I'm glad we built it before the election so that it's durable, and it's here to help guide us in the resistance, in the opposition, not in exile as we move forward. Let's break it down for you. There is no there's no constitutional provision that prevents directly somebody like Trump from running his own businesses. Yes, presidents have agreed to put businesses into blind trusts or turn the keys over to family members or things like that, like Donald Trump allegedly said he was doing the last time around. There's no ability for, under a constitutional provision, to prevent the operation of that business. Donald Trump could become a part-time president, running the business on the side, having a little office built within the White House, subject to lawsuits related to the expenditure of taxpayer dollars. But I'm just telling you straight, there's nothing in the Constitution itself unless there's an aspect of it that touches on foreign investment. Then it may trigger the emoluments clause of the U.S. Constitution, because that could be seen, and a lawsuit could arise if brought by the resistance to challenge the fact that Donald Trump is lining his pockets with money from foreign governments. Many foreign governments, especially in the Arab world, in Saudi Arabia in particular, all of their sovereign wealth funds are really owned by the nation state. And so doing business with the fund is doing business with the government, which means you're putting money into your pocket that you're earning because you're the president of the United States. So for a foreign aspect, there might be an ability, especially in the global marketplace, to argue a violation of the emoluments clause. And then we could get together, the Democratic National Committee or other public interest groups could sue for a violation of the emoluments clause. But if he keeps his business strictly domestic, there's nothing per se in the Constitution to prevent it. The oversight that the framers and the founding fathers looked for was for Congress, through its oversight and through departments under Congress like the General Accountability Office, the GAO, to manage and monitor these types of things and use their power of hearings and their power of investigation, right, to clamp down on it. That is not going to happen. We don't have that check and that balance in the first at least 2 years of the Trump new administration, because he swept in with long coattails the House and the Senate. So there will be now, some of the minority on some of the oversight committees might be able to issue subpoenas and conduct their own investigation and do reporting around it and make it publicly known to put pressure on Trump. But you've seen what he does under pressure. He ignores it. He lashes out. He attacks it. He plays the victim. And that everything's been weaponized against him. So look for the power, the minority party, the Democratic Party now, the party in opposition, to try to use subpoena power on certain committees where they can, in order to try to rein in Donald Trump's unbridled capitalism and trying to run his businesses from the perch of the White House. The General Accountability Office sounds nice. The title sounds great. But it's a civil servant position. It's going to be appointed by Donald Trump. Now, that's why we have to work towards restructure to swing the pendulum back by the midterms to get control of the House, to therefore open up all these oversights. But we're going to have to sit idly by and catalog a lot of these things. I would not put it past Donald Trump to try to run his businesses and his global operations, continuing to be the chairperson of all those companies, including of Truth Social. I would say, isn't that an oddity? Isn't that unethical to have a president use a private entity like Truth Social to try to make money and also use it as his public outlet for his commentary? Yes, but everything Donald Trump has ever done has tested and pushed the limits until some law or some Supreme Court told him no or didn't tell him no. And that's what we're watching. So as we're preparing ourselves, in order for us to be in resistance and not in exile, to be in opposition, we have to understand what is likely to happen next so that we can be ahead of the game in the chess match. Donald Trump, I believe, is going to try to run those businesses. The question is, does it run up against the emoluments clause to allow for a lawsuit to be used to push hard back and shove back? Can't rely on Congress to use, except for the Democrats in the minority position, to use their subpoena and investigative power as the minority members of the Oversight Committee and the Judiciary Committee and things like that. But we can't rely on the General Accountability Office. The GAO is not going to do it. They didn't do it the first time. I mean, the Trump kids, Ivanka and Jared, they made like $600 million while they were, just upon leaving office. That was a violation of the emoluments clause, but I think we were all glad to see him go, so nobody pursued it. Now, as I've argued in other hot takes, we need to go after Donald Trump and his administration at every turn. Don't give him any quarter. Don't give him any safe haven. Everything he does needs to be called out. And we're going to use Midas Touch Network that we built for 4.5 years for this moment, and Legal AF, the new channel, pro-democracy channel, to unite this community, to bind together, to commune with each other and communicate with each other, to share information, and to continue our efforts as an investigative body, as an analytic body, as an editorial body, to be in opposition and in resistance so that we prepare, along with some strategy and tactics, we prepare for the midterm election. We're one day closer today to the midterm election, as far as I'm concerned, than we were yesterday. And that's what we have to do. But I wanted to give you the information about what we can expect from this out-of-control Donald Trump, who the Supreme Court has created a monster, and now we have to live with the monster, right? We had hoped that the switch in candidates at the last minute would be effective with the American people. But unfortunately, they weren't happy with the sort of the reskinning of the party at the last minute, and they decided to vote with crazy but tried and true in Donald Trump. We have a way around that. It comes from rebuilding from within. This is one of the places to start. Free subscribe. Help us continue to amplify your voice and give you the information you need to move forward, survive, and resist. Right? That's all I can ask. You've been amazing to date. We're in this together, locked shoulder to shoulder, arm in arm. And we got a lot of work to do. But it starts today, not tomorrow. We don't have time for an upset day. For democracy. We don't have time for a mental health day. We gotta just keep pushing forward and push that rock back up the hill. I've got some historical context, right? I lived through a worse electoral map than the one that went up last night, if you can believe it. It was all red, except for Minnesota. That was when Walter Mondale got careened with 500 electoral votes or more for Ronald Reagan and the Reagan Revolution. And what happened to that chapter? It closed eventually, and it was followed by eventually Clinton, Obama, Joe Biden. So we know how to get back into power. We know how to be the party in opposition, but not in exile. And we now have social media and these kind of independent media networks and channels to help us retool. We were dealt an odd pair of odd cards, an odd hand is what I was trying to say, right? Very odd hand, right? An aging president who maybe should have gotten off earlier, a couple of stops earlier, had a primary that led to the selection of a candidate, battle tested to go into battle with Donald Trump. But we know that didn't happen. Again, we don't have a time machine. I'm focused on the future. I'm focused on tomorrow, literally, and how to get there and take our democracy, which is now, as far as I'm concerned, been put in a cage. But we have the key to unlock it and unlock that democracy once again. I'm Michael Popok. You're on Legal AF, and I'm at the intersection. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.